John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready, down, set, hut, 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 hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carrie, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome back. It is the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Show. We are on the road inside AT&T Stadium, where the Sooners have won the Big 12 championship in dramatic fashion in overtime, 30-23, as they lose the toss in overtime. They get the ball first because Baylor wants to go on defense, which is what you always want to do, because it gives you an opportunity to know if you need to go for it on fourth down or not. It was craziness. There was quarterback carnage. Charlie Brewer got knocked out again. For some reason, I keep trying to call him Cade Brewer. I don't know why that is.
Texas player.
Texas tight. He's really good. I like that kid.
Maybe they're cousins.
Also, and then you go to Gary Bohannon, who is all beat up, and Matt Rule says after the game, like, he just wasn't himself and he couldn't be. And so then you bring in some guy whose name I still don't know what it is.
Jacob Zeno.
Zeno.
No, Zeb Noland.
And he throws for a 71-yard touchdown pass right off the bat, and you're just like, holy hell, what just happened?
Matt Rule said that Zeno was running scout team quarterback, and not only scout team quarterback this week, he was running scout team safety for the Baylor offense. And he throws a touchdown, but
was he Jalen Hurts if he were a safety? Was it like role playing?
He might throw the ball better than Jalen Hurts. But that's either here nor there, because Oklahoma wins wins a Big 12 championship.
Easy.
I'm getting ahead of ourselves.
You're watching
They're headed
LSU,
to a college football playoff.
You're watching LSU, which is a legitimate national championship team, is why you're confused. I
think we're pissing off the entire press box here.
Well, you're yelling. You're screaming. I can see Tyler Palmentier and Joe Bettner giving us dirty looks.
We'll be quiet. We'll be quieter.
Barry Trammell's the one to worry about.
I know.
He will slap you around.
I don't think there's anybody in here that will stab us, though, so we're good.
Well, stop yelling so much.
Okay, I'll be quiet.
Anyway, so, yeah, we're trying to have a subdued Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast, if Eddie will allow that to happen.
Close the door.
That guy's was probably... Was that the best game Oklahoma, from just a viewing entertainment standpoint? Was that the best game all season? No,
I doubt.
No?
I bet
Oh
people.
my gosh.
If you like Big 12 and defense, I'm sure you enjoyed it. But if the national narrative is these teams aren't that good,
yeah,
so it's just two mediocre teams going at it.
Nobody's nervous system is prepared to watch two teams play defense against each other in this league.
I thought it was a hell of a game. I thought it was
For
a lot
us,
of fun
yes,
down there.
It was a lot of fun. Agreed.
There were times today when I saw an OU defense, I was like, wow, like, we haven't seen an OU defense play like that since probably, I don't know. I mean, the late 2000s.
I thought the postgame stuff just kind of told the story, just as far as Lincoln Riley literally punted the ball back to a Baylor team to basically throw his defense out there and say, all right, boys, I think you're good enough that you can go out there and stop this team.
And then, of course, they didn't have to. It got down to the one.
Here's Lincoln Riley talking about the decision to go ahead and punt it away when it was 4th and 3, and it was clear that the defense was in trouble and that they weren't really stopping this, not Zeb Noland.
Should have been Zeb Noland. Jesus.
You screw up every name that's possible. Here's Lincoln Riley.
It was close. I went back and forth, honestly, in my mind a few times. I felt like in the second half we'd start to open up and move the ball well. So I was kind of confident if it got to an overtime period that we would have a chance to score and be able to score. And then how could you not be confident with the way our defense was playing? We did a great job, pinned them down in there, really made it impossible for them to do anything but run clock off. So just confidence in our guys, both sides of the ball.
By the way, as we are potting this, LSU was up 37-10 on Georgia.
Just an ass beating. 7 minutes,
about a little over 7 minutes left in the game. I thought it was odd, guys. Like Lincoln, none of the players would commit to talking about being in the playoffs after the game.
They probably didn't know what the count was at the time, and LSU was already out to a 14-0
Did they just
lead.
not understand the playoff system, you think, at Oklahoma?
No, I think they understand it. I think that they just, I don't know, didn't want to jinx it maybe.
They don't want to politic. They don't want to be the crybaby team.
Like if they didn't make it, I think what it was is like they, if this happened and Georgia won this game, they didn't want to be disappointed going into the Sugar Bowl or whatever.
Like not getting your hopes up
Yes.
almost, kind of. Well,
maybe that was what Lincoln kind of. I think that's probably what he probably commanded his coaches.
by Sunday at
players to be
Sunday noon tomorrow, you're going to know that Oklahoma's headed back to the college football playoff for the 4th time in 5 years.
Here was something we were just discussing because everybody's trying to figure out travel. Ohio State still has to play Wisconsin tonight. LSU's been very, very impressive. They'll have every claim to be in number 1. Is there any reason Ohio State wouldn't want to go to Atlanta?
I just don't think of Buckeye fans there.
Yeah.
Too hot for them?
Phoenix is a hell of a not a drive, but I mean it's
where they
It's
won
like
the national
60 miles
championship.
different.
They won the national championship.
Columbus to Phoenix
Columbus
as
to
opposed
Phoenix
to Columbus
to Atlanta is like
Atlanta.
60 miles difference. So it doesn't matter. But here's the thing. Like,
Does it matter though? I think tomorrow LSU's going to go to number 1.
I don't. I mean, it depends on what happens tonight.
Sure.
That's what we can't answer.
If they kill
as
Wisconsin and Justin Fields looks fantastic.
No, that makes sense.
I mean, they've already passed me. But here's the thing: like, if you're Ohio State, don't you want your name being mentioned in Atlanta for a whole week as much as possible
Just
for
for
recruiting purposes?
Yeah. I mean that would make sense. I haven't really even thought about it that way. I don't. It will be interesting to see. I mean, OU. Unless something just drastically crazy
Like
happened
Clemson
tonight, they're going to be the 4 seed, right?
Clemson losing.
They're going to be the 4 seed when it's all said and done.
Well, let's talk a little bit about what we saw tonight here. I mean, OU's defense was fantastic. I mean, for a large portion of this game.
It was 111 yards through 3 quarters.
That's unbelievable.
And then
I mean, to think about, and we were all there, guys. I mean, to think about where this defense has come from, even going back into last year at the beginning of the year, like think about the Texas game and just how shitty that was and just how terrible they were. To think that this is a team that basically, I don't know. I mean,
Well, here's the thing. This is a team, and since that Kansas State game, they've had some better defensive performances, and they've really been put behind the 8 ball by Jalen Hurts
And they were
and
again
his
today.
turnovers, which they were again today.
Again today. It was
But here's the thing:
unbelievable.
like you saw that defense built like they've played the 7 games. They go to Kansas State, they really lay an egg. Iowa State was pretty good for a while, and then it got close again. The defense had to make a play at the end of the game. TCU, well, Baylor was crap the first half, of course, turnovers. Great the second half. Then they played TCU, which they gave up 204 yards total offense against TCU. Like, you're sitting there like, that's a masterpiece defensively. Like, this defense looks like they're getting pretty good. Today, I thought you saw a defense that is finally matured throughout the season. All the stuff they've been through, like, they were just ridiculously dominant at times up front.
Yes.
In the secondary.
Yes.
They had more breakups today, I think, than they had any other time this year.
A secondary that didn't have their starting nickel, too, because Buki didn't even play in for, I'd say, 3 quarters of the game. He got hurt in the first quarter on that Charlie Brewer run,
And when
which
they
I
brought
think in turn hurt Brewer as well. That was his first head contact.
And when they brought in Toby Zoland, they were playing 5 receivers, empty set. I mean, they were having to play Justin Broyles, and even Trey Brown went out for a little while. On a kickoff, he got banged up on a kickoff return. He was out for a little bit, but he ends up coming back. Really made probably the play of the day when it's all said and done. But
the refs allowed them to be physical too.
Yeah,
I like it. I'm all for it. I was watching this game
Mike
earlier.
McAfee had a good day. I will say that.
He did get his name out there plenty.
Oh, I'm sure. Well, and the whole Charlie Brewer thing was interesting. Just I know I give him a lot of shit, but I do kind of, in a way, respect what he did going to Matt Rule and basically telling him that.
Well, it's fun.
We did the same thing with Buki and OU, apparently.
It felt the same.
Really?
Yeah. Well,
okay, I
remember
missed that.
he announced it over the microphone that he is out because of they should be looking.
No, you
at
can't
him.
hear anything on the field.
Didn't he
Godforsaken.
introduce himself at overtime though? Like, I'm head referee, Mike DeFee.
Oh God, I hope he did. I missed that. You can't hear anything on the PA system on the
when you're
field.
down on the field.
It's the one thing that Jerry World doesn't have. I thought overall, though, I mean, Ronnie Perkins and Jalen Redmond were extremely good today.
But, I mean, here's the thing. I mean, all this crap goes back and forth. It's 13-10 at halftime. It looks like OU's finally distanced themselves at 23-13. Baylor comes roaring back, and then you're like, it's going to overtime. Like, this could go anyway. Like, how is this going to go for Oklahoma?
Because Brooks was out then.
And it literally was like the ABCs of how to win overtime. Like, you could have made a manual out of it.
Especially if you're going to have to go on offense first. You score, and then you push them back. Here's
Lincoln Riley talking about what he was talking about with his players at the start of overtime.
We brought the guys right up as we went to overtime, and I told them this was fitting. This is the way we started fall camp was red zone work, and 3 straight days of it. And it's fitting that, start fall camp and then finish the regular season championship game with kind of that overtime period. And they stuck to it. They did. They absolutely stuck to it. So we had to be very mentally tough again, and this group proved again that it is.
And, the players kind of mentioned the same thing, but, I mean, that really worked out probably perfect for Oklahoma. You got to go on offense first. You really couldn't think it over too much.
Got the face mask.
You got the face mask penalty right away. You get down to the 5-yard line, and boom, Ramondre Stevenson. Perfect time, perfect call, perfect place.
Damn good running back.
Yeah.
He had a couple tonight that were just I thought, nothing crazy, but you look up and it's like, oh, God, he got 14 yards on that play.
Well, tackle on special teams.
Yeah, he brought the wood to use an old Oklahoma term.
As good as Kennedy Brooks is, and I love his style. He's the natural. Love watching his old school ways of running. He's just, he's not easy to bring down, but when you're playing Baylor as physical as they are, he's not getting a lot of extra yards after contact. Whereas Ramondre Stevenson is like a bulldozer.
Yeah,
and there were times. Yeah. I think Lincoln could have used him more tonight than he did, especially early. But it ended up when Kennedy Brooks got hurt, that was actually a big plus for this offense, that Ramondre Stevenson had to be a guy that they relied on.
It was almost like you better get north-south. You have to get down there. And it worked out. And, it just seemed like this was the type of game that Oklahoma has played in all year. And there was no panic at any point for them. I thought that was pretty important. And obviously that, Baylor hasn't been in this situation. They haven't been in a game like this. And I thought the way that they responded in the first half and then the way that Oklahoma was able to just kind of keep everything together and never really let it get really away from them, I thought that was important as well.
It's crazy. I didn't cut up any of the audio for it, but just sitting in the Baylor postgame press conference, listening to the players field questions, I almost wish we could have sat down some of the people in the game thread, maybe to watch their press conference, because it really was a study in perspective. Like, the Baylor players were like, we loved getting to play a team like Oklahoma twice this year and seeing where we were. And, like, this was, they were disappointed and it was not a great season. It was a great season. It wasn't the result that they wanted. But from Matt Rule to all those players, even the Lynch kid, who's a fantastic player, like, they couldn't be happier to have had the season that they had, to possibly play in the Sugar Bowl.
Yeah.
Of course, they're rooting for Oklahoma to move on to the playoffs so they can play.
And Rule even tweeted
Florida or whatever. Yeah, in the Sugar Bowl.
Rule even tweeted.
But just to watch that program from afar, it's impressive to see. It's kind of a rebirth, And I know Jason Kersey was talking this morning about, how Matt Rule has made Baylor likable again for a lot of people.
I was just getting ready to say that. It's like I'm like almost born into a life of just wanting to hate the guy at Baylor, and I can't hate Matt Rule. I love Matt Rule. I have a man crush on Matt Rule. It's unbelievable.
You should run 40s with him.
Well, are you going to cut your sleeves off of your
I would if I could.
Now?
I would if I could. I might have to if I can't get my clothes out of the hotel.
Okay. So we had established that we were coming down here. We were gonna. Eddie and I came down last night. This is where it turns weird. I felt very generous, and I said, Eddie, I'm going to give you your own hotel room.
I know. I've effed myself on ever getting my own room again on the road because of this.
I'm going to give you your own king bed.
Oh, and it was so nice,
You're not going to have me snoring. You're not going to be snoring for me.
It was a perfect scenario.
You could go out and do your thing, get your 6-pack or whatever you do when we go on the road, and come back to the room without being shamed.
last night.
So you can do that.
No, I'm just kidding. I didn't. Should have.
I don't think they have. Well, they probably have them in Las Colinas.
Yeah.
Probably nice ones.
Expensive.
Yeah. I splurged a little bit, and I said we're going to stay, and then Bob's coming down. We've got, the Big 12 was nice enough to give us 2 parking passes, even though they wouldn't call on me in the post game today, and I got very pissed off. I
thought it was hilarious.
Thanks.
I'm not funny, but it's just like, oh my God, I thought you were going to lose it. I
was going to kill Peter Irwin, the moderator. Yes, the thought did cross my mind. I had my microphone, which is very heavy, my EV microphone.
You should have thrown it at him.
I thought about throwing it at him.
Just throw it up there.
Or at least my shoes are pretty light. And he's old. I don't want to kill him.
I don't think it wouldn't have been frowned upon.
Killing?
No, not killing, but
I think he doesn't like me for some things I did 10 years ago in press conference settings.
Well,
and he thinks,
he'll get over it.
There's that young whippersnapper that asks stupid questions.
Well, he's a moderator at a press conference.
So anyway, Eddie realizes that Bob's coming to get his tickets. I said, Eddie, you can go with Bob. And then
you were finishing up radio, so it was going to work
show,
out to where I was going to just ride with Bob.
And you could get here as early as possible, and I'd be 30 minutes behind you.
It was perfect.
And I just figured Eddie knows we're checking out, and he needs to get all his shit out of the room. And so the game is going on. At 5 o'clock, I look in my emails, after it's over, because we're getting all the stuff from
Well, I'm
the
glad
Big
you
12.
looked.
Well, it didn't matter. By the time I found it, it was too late. And I got an email saying, yes, your room 170 has stuff in it still, and you need to get it out by 3. This was at 5 o'clock.
Yeah.
Or we're going to charge you for another day. And so I was like, surely it's just like a DOP kit or something.
No. Everything that I brought down here, besides the stuff that I brought to the stadium, it just didn't even. It didn't even register with me. Well, not all. I mean, it's like a shirt and a bag.
Yeah.
So it's not a whole lot. They could have taken it out of there, but it didn't even register with me. I think I was thinking an 11 a.m. game. We'll get done, and we'll just drive back by it.
After this story, Ed Eskridge is never going to let you take a car anywhere.
I know. I'm never going to get a room. I'm never going to be able to get a car from Eskridge Lexus, which you should use if you're going to get a Lexus, but it's kind of embarrassing. It's a little disappointing in myself.
I'm going to pay the $70 because I would get a good rate just so we can give you shit about this for the rest of eternity. It's worth it
I
to
couldn't
me.
believe it. I could not believe that, but all end is something.
All is well that
all
ends
is well. There you go. Thank
Okay,
you, Bob.
back to football. Back to football, Dean. Jalen Hurts, obviously another shit game.
It's just weird.
It just happens. I mean, I'm shocked. I think out of everything that we've seen this season, his inability to hold on to the football is
in the worst times. It's like
in the worst times.
It's either running into the end zone to score,
right,
when you're clearly going to score, or
up,
when you're so deep into your own territory that someone has gotten a penalty on a kickoff or something, like at the 12-yard line, or if you put him on the 25, he's fine. But if you put him inside the 15, he's gonna throw a pick or he's gonna fumble. It's insane.
The fumble
is okay.
It's not okay. You got to hold on to the ball, but he did get blindsided.
Yeah.
Baylor's defensive line in the first half was incredible.
They played much better than the first
I thought
game.
James Lynch was all over the place.
And Lynch didn't have a great game.
And then all of a sudden you look up in the second half and Adrian Ely's not out there. And
which you caught.
And I DM'd you guys during the game because he got banged up on that field goal.
Which
on
is
the
so
first
weird.
one. It was the one that who got the penalty? Was it Hayes? Marquise Hayes?
Yes. Yes.
So Hayes, after that, is when he came limping off the field. He finished the first half, and then you look up in that first drive of the first series in the second half, and all of a sudden, Eric Swenson and R.J. Proctor are out there, and that's when I thought, OU might be in trouble. They're down 13-10 already. even though that they were able to get that 3-and-out to start the second half. Didn't they go? OU went 3-and-out as well immediately
to start the second half,
or did they drive down and get the field goal?
They scored twice.
It was Burkich and then Nick Basquin was the touchdown.
No,
that was a hell of a throw.
It was 2 3-and-outs for Baylor, and OU.
It was a field goal
scored
first.
10.
Okay.
Yeah.
10 points
in
their first 2
Either
drives,
or.
yeah.
I just didn't know the way that Baylor was able to get pressure on Hurts in the first half.
Almost kind of had them jittery the rest
They
of
did.
the game.
Yeah, absolutely. It was crazy, but we haven't even mentioned the guy's name one time yet. But CeeDee Lamb, can he win the Biletnikoff with just his sparing performances? Because without him on the field today, OU probably doesn't win the game, right?
Correct.
I mean, he was named the MVP of the game. It was kind of a no-brainer. I mean, some of the catches that he made, obviously the one in the first quarter with the long run, it was almost the exact same play that he had against Texas that he ended up fumbling, wasn't it?
Yeah, from last year.
Yeah, in the Big 12 championship game. It was, it was in the same spot of the field, if I remember correctly as well.
2 important throws today. The 71-yarder, whatever, 71-yarder to CeeDee Lamb to kind of break things open a little bit to the start of the game.
Sure.
And then the touchdown to Nick Basquin.
And that was a hell of a throw
Yeah.
and probably a better grab than
Great adjustment.
Adjustment to the football, yeah.
First touchdown in 3 years.
That's crazy. It's crazy.
But I mean, outside of that, I mean, it was just a bunch of throws to either pick up drives. There was that 30-yarder to CeeDee Lamb when it was like 1st and 20.
Yes.
Yeah.
That's the one that's not going to count because they had to punt with a minute left. But
that was the 4th and 3.
That was 1st and 20, and somehow Lamb was able to grab that. That's when I thought Burkich was going to kick the game-winning field goal.
By the way, just Jalen Hurts in general, I mean, he's going to react and celebrate his teammates. When games like this happen, we've seen that all throughout the year. He did in the post-game press conference really took time out to kind of celebrate his teammates. He was on the dais, the podium, whatever you want to call it, with Neville Gallimore, as well as Lincoln Riley, Kenneth Murray, and there was one other person. CeeDee Lamb. So here's Jalen Hurts after the game.
How about these guys up here? 2 defensive leaders stepping in, playing well, getting it done for us. CeeDee Lamb coming back after everybody thinks he's gone or something, and I mean he's a dog. We got great players on this team. We got great coaching. And I'm blessed to be where my feet are. I say it all the time. I'm truly blessed to be with these guys. Coach Riley said it on senior night or going to practice one of those days. He said 3 years ago, if you ever thought your senior night would be at Oklahoma, you thought I'd be, kidding. I said, yeah, I never would have, And I told Coach Grinch after this game just how crazy it is. If I would have ever thought as a true freshman starting for Coach Saban, winning the SEC championship, going to a national championship, that I would be a Big 12 championship, be a Big 12 champion with the Oklahoma Sooners in 3 years, I thought he was lying too. But God works in mysterious ways, and I'm blessed to be here with these guys.
I mean, Jalen Hurts is going to go down as one of the more interesting stories in the history of OU football. He's not going to go down as one of the greatest quarterbacks, but, outside of the leadership thing, all of that stuff, I think it was great in the offseason, great to kind of get some of these guys like CeeDee Lamb focused. He's going to be a polarizing figure with this fan base. I mean, just historically. I mean, maybe some people will only remember him for a guy that, scored 50 or was responsible for over 50 touchdowns or whatever. But literally
which is just insane. that like he came and did that, and people are still going to have their varying opinions about the guy, right?
Oh, yeah.
But he is completely not worn out his welcome, but like people lose their minds now if he turns it over.
Yeah, then he has those moments post-game where he's carrying the flag, and you realize, again, he actually does like being a Sooner. This wasn't just a business trip for
like maybe
1
this
year.
one, when Dennis Dodd asked him a very leading question, and he threw this out there.
If you guys get there, this is going to be your 4th playoff. Could you describe the difference between the roads to get there? You played everybody in the league in this league. You play Baylor twice. SEC is a different animal. Can you just, compare the two roads?
Well, there's a narrative out there that the SEC is a different animal, but the Big 12 is tough. Has really good teams. Baylor, they're a really good team, very physical team. And I got a lot of respect for them. So we're going to enjoy it and, just enjoy it.
So, that's one of those instances. Like, you have a guy that took the SEC by storm for a couple of years. He's come to the Big 12. He struggled. He's also got the crap knocked out of him by Baylor twice this year.
23 carries, 38 yards. Just brutal.
I will say I will not miss the Jalen Hurts lead running play when it's gone.
I thought some of those play calls, especially in the red zone today, were pretty telling. Just as far as they were saying,
we're playing conservative,
and we got a great kicker, and we're not going to turn the ball over once we get down there because it almost got him beat in Waco, it got him almost beat today.
There's no doubt that at times Jalen Hurts has Lincoln Riley spooked.
Yeah. And rightfully so. Why wouldn't you be? Or how could you not be with some of the turnovers that we just talked about and how just poorly timed that they are, it seems like sometimes.
And I saw some moments on the bench just from the TV where Lincoln was spending plenty of time over there kind of coaching him up and loving him up and all that and, trying to build his confidence back up. Like, that's the other thing. It's like, did anyone really think that they were going to yank Jalen Hurts? It's almost like since it happened at Alabama. I mean, the typical tweet, the hottest of hot takes is, Lincoln Riley, if you want to be Nick Saban, you'll yank his ass right now.
We are not disrespecting Roy Williams, but he had the quote tweet that said it at halftime.
Yeah, Roy Williams, the Roy Williams.
Well, it's ignorant. It's dumb.
He said something like Saban would have done it or something.
He said Saban did it.
Yeah. That was wrong, Roy. Well, I mean, that's just like...
I don't...
It's like there's a post on our board right now, like, I love reading the game thread after wins. Because everybody just wants to fire everyone. And it's more fun now without Mike Stoops. But it's still, you have a feeling like people some of these people would throw their kids away, or maybe they did. And someone had to go get them out of the dumpster.
Some might. I think that there's a lot of them that would just, that's their only outlet. They can't yell at their kids because they're nice people, so they play characters on the internet.
That's probably true.
It's almost improbable, guys, that not only is Oklahoma going back to a college football playoff tomorrow.
By the way, it is a final. 37-10. LSU over Georgia.
Not only is this group going back to a college football playoff, but it just seems like you just sit there and you think, how? How is this team, after we left Manhattan, did you ever think that not only were they going to get themselves back in this thing, but end up winning the Big 12 and putting themselves in the table position to where, I mean, I would imagine they're going to end up be in Atlanta. I mean, we talked about it before we started. We don't know where they're going to be headed, but
well, we know they're the 4 seed.
Sure.
And if LSU moves up to 1,
it's Atlanta.
I don't know if Ohio State can be impressive enough to hold them off from being a 1 seed. I'll say that.
Can this team win a national championship?
No. This OU team? No.
Yes.
No.
Okay.
I would just be, you know what?
That was okay.
Okay.
And next subject.
Next season. Just moving on.
Next subject.
I would be just happy for somebody like Kenneth Murray if OU played LSU and held them, made it a game, like held them to 20-something.
This plays into this coaching staff's hands, though, as far as they're going to spend basically what it amounts to a month.
It's only 3 weeks.
Or 3 weeks. Nobody thinks you guys are worth shit. Nobody thinks that it's going to be...
All I got to do is wait for Jim Moore to come back on Championship Drive.
You think that Oklahoma has already put out the us versus the world narrative? Just wait until tomorrow. It starts tomorrow, and it's going to be 3 weeks straight of basically Oklahoma shouldn't be playing in the playoffs.
This is the story I want to see play out. I want to see Kenneth Murray lead a defense into a college football playoff where he finishes off with something he can actually be proud of. I mean, like you think about the Rose Bowl, what a joke he became to every. I mean, he became the poster boy. There's
a lot of guys on that
failures.
defense that have done that. Have been
Chance
kind of
Sylvie
like
never recovered. Yeah, I mean, but I mean, Caleb Kelly. I mean, he played really well today. By the way,
Parnell Motley to a certain extent.
Motley is like for those guys to just be able to go into a playoff and show that their defense is capable again.
What was Tua? 24 of 27.
It was ridiculous. And here's Kenneth Murray talking about that very thing. You've been forced to be the spokesman for this defense for years now. You go through Georgia, you go through Alabama. What would it mean to you to see this defense, the way that it's playing, go back into the college football playoffs with all the narrative that's out there surrounding you guys?
I mean, it'd be huge for this team, period, to be able to get that opportunity. And I think that's what I'm focused on is just, us as a team getting this opportunity. But, whether, we playing in the college football playoff or we just playing outside in the backyard, Speedy going to play the way that we play. We're going to do our jobs and we're going to go out there and execute.
It's Lincoln and Jalen whispering to each other up on the
Go
podium.
back and
Sweet nothings.
I'm going to go back and do some audio analysis.
Yeah, I got the money. Did you put it in my bank account? Yeah. I don't know what they. I moved the camera. I got video of it. I'll put it up on the board.
That's pretty good. But yeah, I mean, this defense, are they a finished product? No. Have they made a statement this year? I think absolutely.
For sure.
No, they've made the loudest statement that you can make without saying, basically, we're here. I mean, the turnover from night and day is night and day, just as far as what they've been able to accomplish. And look at the stats tell the story. Just watching them tells the story, Bob. It's been a complete transformation that, I'll be honest, I don't think that there was anybody outside of the OU fan that would cut your throat to win a football game. I don't think anybody thought it was going to be possible for them to be able to turn this thing around this quickly.
Yeah, I mean, we heard from everyone since spring about how they were turning the corner, but you're like, no, are you real? You're really going to be able to do that quickly? And it turns out for some of these guys, they could. Kenneth Murray, Buki, Neville Gallimore, Ronnie Pert, like these guys just shrugged off what had happened during the last season and were ready to buy into Grinch and go play that speed D.
Did Q Overton play at all tonight?
Yes.
I thought that
Dylan Fa'amatu was out there a ton tonight.
They rotated, I thought, more than, and it might have been because of the injury situation, but I thought that they rotated more than they had in past couple games today. Obviously, even Brian Meade got in there when Murray had to come out. I thought when he went down, I thought he tore his ACL. I thought it was a knee injury or something.
I knew it wasn't because they weren't looking at his lower body when they were out there. It was I thought maybe he got like sternum injury or something. I was concerned it'd be something more like that, or broken collarbone or something like that. But he came right back in, and pretty much. I mean, Bob wrote about this in his notebook. Everything was pretty much a concussion tonight, except for Adrian Ely. So he's the only thing that's really. To me, that much up in the air.
He was limping, so I would say that it was some type of knee or ankle or something that maybe has been laboring him for a while. And with OU getting 3 weeks off now between this and the college football playoffs, it's going to be good news for him.
What I will say is both Buki and Kennedy Brooks, full participants in the on-field celebrations. So maybe it's a concussion for both guys, maybe not. But they had enough wherewithal and they were good enough physically, mentally to be out there under the bright lights and be able to have confetti celebration.
Before we get to just a little bit more playoff talk, let's do this real quick.
Eskridge Lexus is all about embracing the best. That's why they are the official travel partner of the Soonerscoop.com podcasts. So it's time for us to recognize the Sooners' best with our Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game.
All right, Eskridge Lexus Player of the Game. Well, I mean, you had a most outstanding player named in this game, and it was CeeDee Lamb. So I don't know. I mean, defensively,
I'm gonna pull a carry.
Okay.
From two weeks
Go
ago.
ahead.
You gave it to the entire offensive line. I'm going to give it to the entire defensive line.
That's a move. You can do that here. More than acceptable.
I mean, Jalen Redmond, Nick Benito, Guevu, Gallimore, Perkins. I mean, Calvin Thibodeau.
Benito, to me, was the guy that was just the standout today.
He really was.
I mean, he was fantastic. I mean, Kenneth Murray led the team in tackles. He was all over the field. He at times he stoned. And who knew Charlie Brewer was such a tough tackle?
Yeah.
He destroyed Buki.
Baylor's a tough football team.
They are.
I don't think that people realize the type of contact that is going down on the field down there, and you'll be able to see it in the sights and sounds and stuff like that. But that was a physical football game.
And you know who had a really good game today, but it doesn't show up in the stat sheet? It's Ronnie Perkins.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. He had one.
Matt Rule even singled him out in the post game.
He had a track down on early in the game on Brewer that he ended up getting the hit, and he took him down to the ground, but Brewer had already got the ball out, but it was on one of those third downs that he maybe completes that pass if he's not getting pressured by Perkins. And it seems like you're getting a lot more of that, and I think you could live with that as opposed to not seeing him at all.
Yeah, and then Jalen Redmond, led the team in tackles for loss, which was an interesting stat because he only had 3 tackles, and he had 2.5 of them were for tackles for loss.
Did Alex Grinch say something after the game that Redmond
popped his
shoulder out
twice.
of place?
Twice.
That's unbelievable.
So,
this guy's going to be a football player.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard not to give kudos to pretty much everybody on defense. Offensively, it's much more difficult, but CeeDee Lamb obviously
they don't win the
had
game
the
without
biggest
CeeDee
plays.
Lamb.
Yeah,
they don't win the game.
And then, like we said, I mean, look, Kennedy Brooks was fantastic today.
Sure.
He's been fantastic for a while, but I just really liked seeing Ramondre Stevenson come in and be a part of that.
And that's the perfect mix. He doesn't need 15 carries, but you give him 5 to 10.
Yeah.
He'll do what he needs to do.
Absolutely. And, Bob, I think you said it before we started the podcast, but you get the ball back after you hold Baylor to the field goal. You tie the game. They tie the game up. There's 3 minutes left or whatever, 3.5 minutes. I can't remember what it was exactly, but all of a sudden you're backed up, 1st and 20, and Lamb makes that grab across the middle, and it moves the chains. And you can play the what if game, but if OU doesn't get that play right there, all of a sudden Baylor has the ball on the 45, 50-yard line
with timeouts.
And those small little plays aren't going to be plays that we'll put in highlight packages and stuff. But those were the types of plays that ended up, I think, helping Oklahoma win the game today. It's not going to be the sexiest thing because they ended up punting anyways.
But I'm not sure what that Baylor punt returner was doing.
Yeah, and Reeves Munchain, that was a hell of a punt. And in that moment, to pin them deep on the 1-yard line and basically make them run the clock out was extremely important. I mean, it was kind of one of those games that every play mattered, and it was a lot of fun to watch.
It's week 13. We've done a lot of these podcasts. We've been a lot of different places, not just on Saturdays, but on Friday nights as well. And a big part of that is Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City, giving us loaner cars, letting us drive some of their finest fleets. Like the Big Daddy LS, which some of those things are 6-figure cars. You don't have to pay quite as much for those, but just everything that they do for us just helps us out so much and helps us bring you guys even more content and more stories and more video and all that stuff. So can't tell them how much we appreciate their sponsorship of the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast. We put their name on it for a reason. But give Ed Eskridge a call over at Eskridge Lexus. Just go online at eskridgelexus.com and check out their inventory if you're looking for a new luxury car and you want to just have something that you just really enjoy driving every day and it's not just a beater. I've had one for over 10 years and just love driving it every day. We drove it down here. Still love it. And I'll be getting a new one here real soon. So, go check them out. They do a great job for us, and tell them you're a Scoop listener, a podcast listener, or subscriber, and they'll get you taken care of, give you a really good deal on a brand new Lexus. All right, so playoff announcements will be tomorrow, 11 o'clock. coming here from the Gaylord Texan, I believe.
Yep.
Just down the road. And Lincoln Riley, once again, didn't really want to go into it, didn't really want to politic, but he was asked after the game what he would say in terms of his playoff worthiness as a team.
You know, they've got a job to do. I get that. We've had a job to do as a team, which was continue to prove through the year, trust the things that we could, and then ultimately win a Big 12 championship. We've done that. We'll see whatever road it takes us on, but whichever one it is, we'll be ready.
And I think they're in pretty good shape. That all this stuff was before LSU really took care of Georgia. And, I didn't see what you were pointing at. I was like, why do you want me to see Matt Berry's fantasy show on your laptop?
Come on, you know me better than that. I'm not pointing that shit out.
It's 14-7.
14-7
Clemson over Virginia.
And Ohio State's yet to kick, so
that'll be what listening to drive home.
Eddie's flipping people off because we're in glass everywhere.
What are you talking about?
All right. We need to head back home. They're getting ready to shut down Jerry World on us. Any last thoughts? Bob, let's start with you. Sooners 12-1 on the season, Big 12 champions, 5th time in a row. Probably should get that out there. Jerry World is their oyster.
Love the family moment with Alex Grinch. You know, a lot of these coaches have been around this. Not all 5, but at least like 2 or 3. First one for Grinch, and the moment he had with his dad, with his wife, and his kids. You understand just how much this really means to them.
That was his dad?
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that. So that was really cool. I got video. I'll put it up on the board before we leave. But it's one of those things. I think that we get so wrapped up in it that we forget how much this kind of stuff means to people. And obviously it means a lot to Alex Grinch. Obviously it means a lot to that whole crew down there. So it was pretty. I think improbable is the right word. Like I did not expect this team not to maybe to get to the Big 12 championship, yes. To actually be able to win it, to be able to do it the way that they did, almost kind of transform themselves in the middle of the season to go from a team that was banging their head against the glass almost in a way to basically becoming a ball control team because of what they have. It's been impressive. I think it's been a really good coaching job by not just Lincoln Riley, but the entire staff. And who knows? We'll see.
It's amazing.
This team keeps surprising me. I'm not going to say that I'm not shutting them out of a national championship picture like you two.
Man of the people.
I'm not going to be realistic like you two.
Just let me have my moment.
I'm sure you'll make a wonderful video about it in the weeks to come.
Yeah, maybe so. Might have to do a little something if they're going to do Atlanta. Really 2 drastic places, Atlanta or
Phoenix.
The
Tempe,
loveliness
Paradise Valley
of Scottsdale, Arizona.
Camelback.
Atlanta or Scottsdale, Arizona.
Let's face it, we've never done anything fun in Atlanta besides cover recruiting.
No, and it doesn't sound like we will either this time around either.
Well, that'll be up to you.
Can I do a video? Can I smoke crack on the side on the street with somebody?
No. Well, you can. That's very easy to do in Atlanta.
That's what I'm saying.
You can.
You don't have to go anywhere.
But no, you cannot do that.
The last time that we were in Atlanta for the 5-star, Josh and I ended up staying at the Ritz-Carlton. Have to go back, see what's going on.
I stayed there too.
Did you?
Yes.
But you weren't with us for the 5-star.
I was there for the publisher convention.
That's right.
I was waiting for baby.
And then I was there for check-in. And then I came home.
No, you weren't there for check-in. I don't think you went out there like a couple days before us, and then you came back.
That sounds right.
I was playing boss man for the week. Yeah.
There you go.
All right. Well, it's been
good season.
It's been a ride.
Start the postseason.
It's hard to believe.
Postseason starts now.
It's hard to believe.
Could have Jalen Hurts on Monday.
Hard to
believe.
Okay.
I guess I can't talk on my own podcast. Hard to believe that the Kansas State game happened, and we're sitting here with the Sooners about to be invited into the college football playoff.
What if they aren't?
The system is broken. Officially.
Will there be all-out riots in the
I know
streets?
what your next video will be if they're not.
Oh, we'll go find Jim Mora. How about that?
Yes, we'll blame it on him and Jonathan Velma. All right, thanks to everybody for listening. It's been a great trip this season. Stay tuned. I'm sure we'll have some more things planned for the bowl game, as we always do. And can't tell you how much we appreciate you being a part of the podcast each and every week, especially the post game. It's just been doing bonkers. And thanks to Ed Eskridge and Eskridge Lexus for making this possible once again. So we're going to get out of here before they close it all down on us. Thanks to Bob Brisbillo, Eddie Radosevich, and I'm Kerry Murdoch. And we'll see you next time back here on the Eskridge Lexus Postgame Podcast.